So we have the Detroit Lions trying to crawl back against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are a first down away from going into victory formation. It's, I believe, third down here.
Right.
And a defensive pass interference is called against the Lions, giving Philadelphia that first down that they need to go to victory formation. If the Eagles don't get a first down here and they have to punt, it's still a long shot for the Lions, but it's not out of range. They would have about less than a minute and one timeout to go score a touchdown to tie the game. But a called defensive pass interference gives the Eagles a first down so they can go to victory formation.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and play that clip. Good setup here.
And again,
so
the
A.J.
Eagles are
Brown
on offense. You see some hand fighting right off the bat. And then a defensive called pass interference.
Here's a wider angle of it before we start discussion. A.J.
And then
Brown
it's on
running
that
an
far
outbreaker.
left side.
And as you can see, it was not thrown by that front judge. It was thrown by the back judge on this play. What do you see initially here on this rep by Rock Ya-Sin of the Detroit Lions?
So you see lots of contact. And to me, I'm assuming that that's probably why they call defensive pass interference. Zach, you've got the pool report, but I'm seeing lots of hand fighting on both sides. I don't see enough to quantify defensive pass interference. To me, this is two athletes doing some equal hand fighting and then a ball that's not thrown near. I don't see the Lions defender preventing A.J. Brown from being able to make a play at the ball.
Gotcha. And
to me, this is clean.
I agree. In fact, I think it's egregious. And I'm not just saying that because I tend to pull for the Lions. I think this is one of the worst missed calls of the season. Not missed calls, one of the worst blown calls of the season. And I want to give full context to what the referees are seeing here. And then I want to break it down what our eyes actually see. So in the pool report, which is released after the game, reporters can ask the referees, specifically the head referee, what they think or about specific plays that were officiated in the game. And this pool report, first question was about that game-ending PI call because there wasn't very many penalties in this game outside of it. This was the first call on a defensive back all night. There was no illegal contact, no defensive holding, no pass interference. This is the one that they drew the line at. And the official, here's the quote, the official observed the receiver's arm getting grabbed and restricting him from going up to make the catch. So the ball was in the air, there was a grab of the arm, restricted him, and he called defensive pass interference. Here's the freeze frame of A.J. Brown going up for the catch.
Now, I do want to go back a little bit.
So we'll
does he pull the arm? That's what we're looking for.
So here we see A.J. Brown fully extend, get separation from Rock Ya-Sin. There's kind of a swipe at the arm, but I don't think that you can quantify this as a grab. I think the arm just kind of makes contact. He never actually locks it. He just kind of swipes. So I don't even see a grab of the arm here, truly. He's fighting off the stiff arm that A.J. Brown is giving. He's literally pushing it off. Does not grab, kind of swipes. I don't see a grab at all. I don't see it at all. Do you?
It's not. No, do I see a grab? No, I don't. I think I see where the ref's mind is because you do see, if you back it up a little bit, you do see Ya-Sin's arm extend while A.J. Brown's arm is down. Right there. I see what the ref is seeing, but it's wrong.
It is.
That's what he's seeing, but it's wrong. It's not a pass interference.
Grabbing an opponent's arm.
I disagree with you when you said it's one of the worst calls or one of the worst blown calls this year. I don't think it's that egregious, but it is wrong. It is an incorrect call, in my opinion.
I think it's one of the worst blown calls of the season because there is almost no argument to support the ref. There's actually more of an argument to support offensive pass interference than there is defensive pass interference on this play. That's what I think makes it so egregious. I don't think the Lions were going to crawl back into this one, but for the game to end like this on a national stage, once again, the NFL has a massive issue with games ending with controversial penalties on the national stage. And this is no different. Nobody wanted the game to end this way. I've seen even Eagles fans who are the most hard-headed, braggadocious fans and will say anything when their team wins. Even Eagles fans said, "Yeah, that was pretty egregious. Didn't want the game to end that way." Because when you're on the winning team when on the winning side of a call like this, you certainly know, Tyler, it doesn't feel good. You get ridiculed by fans. Everyone thinks the game is rigged for your team, and it doesn't feel like you earned it. And if you're on the losing side of it, you feel like you got robbed. So nobody wins when the refs decide football games. And this one, late in the game, would have had a chance at a real good finish to what was a crappy game beforehand. It was really low scoring, lots of defensive mistakes. So the NFL, once again, robbing us of a potentially good finish. And I do want to give context to what you're saying. The grabbing of the opponent's arm in such a manner that restricts his opportunity to catch a pass. A.J. Brown is fully able to jump in the air, leaps, and the ball does not touch him. He's fully extended. Would you agree?
No, I agree. I
And
do
he's
agree
not
with you.
able to make the catch. So Article C doesn't even apply here because it doesn't restrict his ability to make the catch because he's fully able to jump and leap and extend into the air.
And I agree. I do not believe that this should have been defensive pass interference.
Okay.
I wouldn't go so far to say it should be offensive pass interference, but it should not be. It certainly should not be defensive pass interference. And I want to comment on one other thing you said too, is that not a single defensive penalty had been called all night. Now, one could argue that that's all right. It's been a clean game up until then, quote unquote. But before, I also want to tell the audience something you said before the game. Before the game, you saw a statistic that this crew calls the most defensive pass interferences called than any other crew in the league. And yet tonight they were letting them play up until that moment.
Yeah, I feel like that's another issue. I think it's a lesser issue than the game-defining calls at the end of primetime games. But if inconsistency is huge, no other sport has a more inconsistently officiated product than the NFL. You could get games like the Chiefs-Broncos game in which the Broncos were flagged 15 times for 147 yards, and you could get games like this where this is the only defensive penalty on a defensive back the entire game. It's different week to week depending on the crew, and the NFL doesn't seem to care. But I'm going to step back on your assertion that you don't think this is offensive pass interference. We both agree that it's not defensive pass interference, but I'm going to argue that it actually is offensive pass interference, and I'm going to use the rule book to do so. So Article 2, which is prohibited acts by both teams while the ball is in the air. We've referenced this over past episodes many times, but we have not yet mentioned Article G. Article G says initiating contact with an opponent by shoving or pushing off, thus creating separation. That's the article, and that is completely prohibited by either side. Now, I want you to guys watch this back. Shove, separation, that is textbook offensive pass interference. It's more offensive pass interference than it is defensive pass interference. So if you're going to call anything, you should call it based on Article 2, Section G. So that, to me, is another reason why it's so egregious, because it's so not defensive pass interference, it gets into offensive pass interference territory. It's just brutal.
I see where you're going. I do see a shove. And if something had to be called, yeah, I'd go offensive pass interference. But ultimately, I don't think it's either. There's too much hand fighting between both of them that I don't think either should be called.
Sure, and
Neither
I agree. I think a no call is the right call. However, if you're going to throw a flag, there's more evidence for OPI than there is DPI. There's genuinely nothing there, honestly, for DPI. There's not a grab here. There's a swipe. Yasin disengages immediately. It's kind of like if you ever get a hold of the jersey and they disengage immediately. Typically, they won't call holding, but it's just I have never truly seen such a nothing burger defensive pass interference before.
Yeah, it's certainly something that I agree with you that the officials need to get a lot more consistency, and honestly, they need to just admit when they're wrong sometimes.
Agreed. Yeah, because
Because
when
you
we
can
look
if you come out and say, "Yeah, the ref kinda saw this, but, like, he made a mistake." I think NFL fans would really respect that, but if you're just like, "Nope, he grabbed him," and then you look at the replay and you go, "He did not grab him at all," even though I see what the ref is seeing and like, it's not a great look, but you can admit you're wrong. NFL refs never admit that they're wrong.
I mean, it's really the NFL as a whole, but we do talk about the refs a lot, and I think that's a great point, Tyler. The pool report is the most useless thing in the entire NFL because you're never going to get accountability, even when they are dead wrong. I hearken back to the Dallas game in 2023. We always harken back to this, but that pool report defended the ref's decision, and it straight up lied. It said both players approached the ref, and he was confused, or he didn't say he was confused, and he said Taylor Decker did not report as eligible, and Dan Skipper did. When the video evidence shows that it didn't, and the pool report once again is saying things that our eyes can see aren't true. And so I don't even know why the
Mhm,
NFL bothers to put them out if they're just going to lie and never take accountability. I've never seen a ref take accountability for a missed call ever, or the
mhm.
NFL take accountability for a missed call ever. And it's to the point where it's ridiculous.
I agree, and really, I feel like both of us have kinda made our cases,
Yeah.
and we agree, it's not defensive pass interference.